Hey there, this is your spiritual alignment coach and mentor, Courtney Browning. Welcome to another episode of Unhindered Woman. Are you ready for some #real talk that will inspire and serve you, my performance-driven Christian sisters? A conversation that will deepen and personalize your relationship with God by revising the routine scripts you've been taught about Christianity. This is not to be a replacement for professional counseling and/or legal advice. Hey sis, grab your hot beverage of choice along with your journal and pen, and let's get into it. We cannot attain the presence of God because we are already in the presence of God. What's missing is awareness. By Father Richard Rohr. These were words that, as I was sitting one morning, a few days, probably about 5 or 6 days ago from me recording this podcast, that just was like ointment to some open woundedness that I was experiencing on this particular morning. And it was a morning that it was on the backside of having to be aware of some brokenness that is still present in my life. I'm going to be very transparent. If you don't know me, you already know that's just me. That's just what I do. There's no shame that I experience in just being very open about where I'm at in life. And it's twofold. One, I know that there's an element of being open and honest that really disarms our enemy named Satan. And so it's actually potentially spiritual warfare. And the other side of that is that it gives those that God has given me the honor and the privilege to be on some level a person of influence in their lives. It gives them this sense of, unknowingly to them, permission to be okay with being themselves in front of me, as well as it gives them permission to embrace themselves where they are, knowing that they are a work in progress and that it does not stop God from being able to use them. And so I have learned that being transparent, authentically transparent, is a gift, and it can have its downsides to it. Don't get me wrong. I get that. And if you really battle with upholding your reputation, or you really battle with the opinions of others and pleasing others, then this can be a challenge. This isn't, I don't want to dismiss that those are real challenges. I've lived those out. And yet what I've learned is, at the end of the day, I am the only one that goes to sleep with my decisions that are for my life. And so therefore, the opinions of others and pleasing others falls to the wayside for me in this. Why am I saying all of that? Because it seems like I'm on a little bit of a tangent. I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to be very honest about a challenge that all the more came to a place of, let's recognize this. And that is that I am challenged with anxiety. It's interesting how you don't realize that certain things can pull you away from God instead of draw you near to God. It seems like I'm talking two different subjects here, right? With what I just said about anxiety, and then me, this whole thing of either we are running to or running from God. Well, let me bring that together for you. I had to take a test to evaluate where I was, because I was telling my doctor that, I'm just having some focus challenges, and it seems to me that they're more around times of stress than they are any other time. And so he had asked if I had gone through any diagnostic testing, and I said no. And fast forward, after having taken the test, it does reveal that there is some challenges for me when it comes to anxiety. What was really cool about that whole moment was recognizing that in the summary that was given about where I'm at, is that it said I had built a resilience. And I was just like, wow, that's so cool, God. Like, even though I don't like that this is a thing, that right there, that's you. And that's what you have built in my life. Because hashtag real talk, haven't said that in a while. In my humanness, apart from God, I would not be in any social settings. I would not be in most events. I would love to, in my humanness, apart from God, stay at home, and I would be totally okay with that because it would diffuse a lot of the challenges that I can have when it comes to anxiety. And so the difference for me, because I know a lot of you that are listening in, you know me, either you know me by being in a virtual room with me, you may know me as being my clients, you will know me from attending the same church that I attend, or maybe we've been at an event together. And by all appearances, and even by me doing this podcast, hello, it's going to reach all around the world. It would appear as though that's not going to be an issue, because when you see my disposition, when you see how I show up, it's not very evident to you. In fact, more than likely, it isn't evident to you at all. You want to know why? Because with God, I can do all things. And yes, I'm still on the topic, by the way, of hearing God's voice, just so you don't think, oh, she's not even talking about that anymore. No, I am. Absolutely, I am. I'm coming at it from the angle of, just like the last episode when I said that we are to acknowledge him in all of our ways. And when you think about that quote that I just read to you, that we do not have to look for God's presence because he's already in us. So we don't have to attain his presence. He's with us all the time. But listen to that last, I'm going to read the whole quote just because it's been a bit since I've said the quote. We can attain the presence of God. I'm sorry, rewind. We cannot attain the presence of God because we are already in the presence of God. What's missing is awareness. And by the way, that is a quote by Father Richard Rohr, if you want to look that up. Well, awareness is missing. And so here I was when I read that, when I heard that quote, and I said it was ointment to my heart. It was because I had gone through a few days prior to this particular morning where I had to take that test. And that test really had me go deep to some very traumatic experiences, because one of the questions was asking, what are the traumas that have taken place in your life? And if you know my story is full of several traumas that have taken place over the course of my lifetime. And there was one question that was a little bit of a trigger for me. And it said, are there any traumas that have not been mentioned? And so I had to mention the trauma of being in a room held at gunpoint. And all of a sudden, all these emotions and all these thoughts came over me, and realizing, oh my goodness, like I've been through some stuff. And Lord, only by your grace, only by the help of your hand, only because of my relationship with you, do I live sane? Do I live in such a way that glorifies you? And so it just brought awareness to me of how prevalent God is in my life, and that apart from him, I can do nothing and I am nothing. And so another point, a third point as to why I gladly share when I am going through challenges is because here I can stand and say all that I do is because of God. And this is no different. The way that I live and press through and, oppose anxiety is because of him. I'm very aware of that. Without him, I can't do this. And so there was that moment, and having to have discussion about it and realizing, there are some things that, moving forward, wisdom would be, let's figure out how to, sorry. A thought just came to me that I really want to press into and share. Am I delivered? Yes. Yes, I believe I am. I am delivered from every single one of those traumas, including that last one that I shared with you. Yes, I am delivered. There is no residue on my life or in my emotions or in my day-to-day life that is connected to those traumas. But here's where the gap is for me. Although that I am delivered, it's not like I have been given the equipping to really stand tall when anxiety is right in front of me. And so this is where I believe God is so awesome in the different ways, the various ways in which he executes deliverance in our life. He has given brilliant minds to other human beings to sit with us and hold space and give us tools, right? To be able to go about handling anxiety, whatever level it is, whatever diagnosis it is, depression, discouragement, like whatever it is, there is this brilliance that God has given humanity. And I wholeheartedly believe that there are times to reach out for professional help in that way. And yes, there's medication. There's another brilliant form and way of dealing with that as well. And so I am open to all options, because at the end of the day, what I'm going to do is make sure that I am aware of who is going to partner with me in making the right decisions, right? I'm going to acknowledge God in all of my ways so that he can direct my path. And so he's with me in this. He's with us in this. Now, there's something interesting about this whole moment for me is when I heard that quote and it soothed my heart, I immediately recognized that having to rehearse all of the answers that I had to give in this evaluation, instead of it causing me to run to God and to receive that comfort and to really interact with him, to hear his heart on having overcome that, I wasn't running to him. I actually was slowly withdrawing from him. And so what does that look like? I'm going to tell you what it looked like for me, because I believe you can relate as I share this with you. It was mindlessly scrolling on social media for hours the night before. Mindlessly scrolling. So exhausted, like crazy exhausted, that, that exhaustion that you're so tired that to close your eyes, you just know you can't go to sleep. Like you're beyond exhausted or tired. That was where I was. And so I had done that the night before. And then when I got up, I just had a heaviness about me. And there were other variables that had happened in the midst of that. So it was this quiet storm that was taking place that, experiencing rejection through others had also taken place. And so here I was in this quiet storm that should have ignited me to run to God, right? So that rejection that I was experiencing, I could go and find out from him I'm accepted in the beloved. That mindless scrolling, if I had taken even a fraction of those hours that I spent and just gone to him, what could he have shown me that would have so benefited me and given me sweet sleep the night before? Why am I sharing all of this with you? Because as leaders, this is a part of that acknowledging him in all of our ways so that he can direct our path. Oftentimes we don't realize that there are things in our life that are fuel, and they're a counterfeit for the fuel that God can give us, right? There are the counterfeit of wanting to be accepted. We're not always going to be accepted by people, but we're always accepted in the beloved. We're always accepted by God. We are always going to want to have a sense of being in some level of success. Is that the fuel? Is that what fuels us every day when we get up in the morning? We are always going to want to make sure that we're a support for our family in some way or another, a support for our friends, a support for the ministry that we're a part of. Is that what's fueling us? You know, after all, they all look good. They all sound good. And they are the right things to do. However, is it the thing that fuels us to where we don't even recognize that we're really not spending time with the one who enables us, empowers us, and equips us to be able to be the fuel that we need to be in the right way to those that we love? It's very interesting, isn't it? Here I was in this state of this storm of things that, knowing Courtney, because what is my thing? What is it that I talk about all the time? Relationship with God. Here it is. I am in this state of slowly fading away from God. And then I hear that beautiful quote, and I'm like, God, that's it. That's it. I need to turn my focus towards you and be intentional to come and sit with you. Because all these things, the diagnosis, the challenge with anxiety, man, I sure wish I didn't have it, but I do. And this isn't the end of my story. I am an overcomer, right? I am more than a conqueror through Christ. And so I don't accept this as the final say in my life. I am overcoming in this. And I am not a victim. I actually accept it as an awesome challenge because I get to show off God's glory. So I'm excited about it, even though I don't like that it is an experience that is current in my life. Okay, so all right, here we are. And I love that in that moment while I was experiencing all of that, that God met me right there. You know, sometimes we don't realize that there are patterns. It's important to create patterns and rhythms in your life. It's vital. It's so vital. For example, Sunday morning, you know, here it is. I'm experiencing this stuff, right? So I'm still in the residue of it. And this past Sunday morning, I didn't even get out of bed good. And I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go to church. I don't feel like going to church. I don't want to go to church. I don't feel like going to church. I don't want to go to church. Like it was this scrolling record. It was almost like a broken record, right? Where it just goes, don't want to go to church. I don't feel like going to church. Don't want to go to church. Don't feel like going to church. It's so funny. And yet it was so very real. Like I could feel it in my body. I just wanted to pull that blanket up over my head. And yet I have an established rhythm in my life. And so while those thoughts are scrolling, and they're not quiet, they're very loud. You know, that's something about the enemy to recognize. Whenever there is pressure or force or this push to do it, that is so not God. That is so the enemy, because he is a driver of whoever will surrender to him. And so that voice wasn't silent. It was still going. But see, my body is so programmed to a particular rhythm for Sunday mornings. I got up, grabbed a cup of coffee, got ready, my body got in the vehicle, I'm at church, and God supernaturally blesses me with this sweet boy that he had no idea that when he held me by my neck for a good 15-20 minutes, he had no idea that God was embracing me through him. And so while in my mind on Sunday, that morning, I did not want to go, I have an established rhythm that I will be in the house of the Lord, that I will not forsake assembling with others, because there is a special presence of God that shows up in a corporate gathering of like-minded believers of God through Christ that breaks yokes and destroys bondages. And my body, although my brain was going through all of that, my body was so programmed. It has such a rhythm that I'm standing at the altar, because when I'm in praise and worship, I'm going to be as close to the altar as I can. My toes are going to touch that platform. And I'm going to be right there because I want to be as close to the anointing of God as possible. And here I am, met with God. It was a God setup. And I just melted in that moment. And I knew, and I just said, God, this is so you loving me through him. And I'm so grateful that I have overcome this challenge of when I don't feel like doing what is right to do, because of my awareness of you and my need for you, that you met me here. And in that embrace, I felt loved, I felt accepted. And then afterwards, my worship just that much more was so focused on God and pouring out to God, to where it just established for me that although I may not be where I want to be, I'm okay where I am, and I am not going to stay where I am. Isn't that good? So I want to encourage you that as a leader, as a disciple of Christ, as a man of God, a woman of God, because I know that although my podcast is for female Christian leaders, I'm very aware that there are just people who just, God has led you to my podcast. And I just want to encourage you. I want to encourage you that whatever it is that is fueling you, if you'll do an inventory, is it fueling you to pursue the presence of God and relationship with God? Or is it fueling you to be so focused on that it really is actually drawing you away from God? And are you in a place where you need to establish rhythms so that when you're up against the wall, that you still are doing the things that keeps you steadfast and immovable to pursue his presence? Because, come on, the word is very clear. In his presence, there is fullness of joy. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Acknowledging him in all of our ways is how he directs our path. If we're not going to turn our focus, if we're not going to establish rhythms in our life, yes, reading the Bible is important. Yes, praying is important. May I say something? May I be so bold to say all of that is absolutely important. And yet, if it does not have the focus of his presence, of relationship, then we are still slightly missing the mark. And we are missing out on the goodness that he has for us. We will in some way be in a state where we're not going to really fully experience the potential that God has placed in us as an individual, to be able to see us fulfill the plans and purposes that He has called us to. And so I just want to challenge you. Do an inventory of yourself. What's fueling you? For me, it was fear. Isn't that interesting? You would think fear wouldn't be a fuel. It is. Because what fear does when it fuels you is it fuels you to either take flight, meaning tuck tail run, or it fuels you to fight. It fuels you to be in this place of, you've got to work this out for yourself. Well, that's a turning away from God, friends. And that's not where God wants us to be. And so I want to encourage you. Take an inventory of what's fueling you. Simply put, if pursuing His presence isn't the motivating fuel that is why you get up every morning, then we're off. And I want to invite you to start again. Begin again. Go back to your first love. Go back to why you decided to become a Christian. And that's having a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. I pray this encouraged you. This is a little different. Again, though, this is very much in line with hearing the voice of God. Why do I say that? Let me just end it like this. Because if you are not going to stay in a state of awareness to look to Him, well, think about any human being that you actually physically are in relationship with. If you turn away from them and you don't look to them, is there communication? Would you hear their voice? Would you find out what's on their heart? Would you find out what's on their mind? Good question, right? It's the same thing for God. If we're not going to live in a state of awareness to where we turn towards Him and pursue His presence, then surely I must ask you, do you really think you're going to hear His voice? That's stout, I know. However, it bears asking because He is in such hot pursuit of you and wants relationship with you. And I would love to see you endeavor to have the most amazing relationship that you could ever have on this earth, because humans on some level are going to fail us, and He never does. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of Unhindered Woman. My hope is that you feel seen, known, and loved by God. This podcast is here to serve and inspire you. To explore more on how to work with me, find out what I'm up to, and where you can find me on social media, head on over to www.courtneybrowning.com. And by the way, there's no U in my first name. I'd love and appreciate it if you give me a quick review in this app that you're listening in through. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. Talk with you soon, and bye-bye for now.